looking in that direction. Is that cool?
Yeah, if you just give it a clap.
I'll do one uniform clap. Because that might have been a bit confusing. All right. So it was 2012, around about October time, where I lost my job. I got fired. And basically, shit had pretty much hit the fan because I had a whole load of debt, a lot of bills to pay. And yeah, I had about 5 or 6 months to pretty much find some kind of resolution to get myself out of the hole.
All my life I've barely spoken. Your words have been so broken. I've been under your hypnosis. Why did I sip that potion? I'm so done with holy ghosting. My birth, it is an omen. Lay me down up in the ocean until you see no motion. Right now I can barely.
So I grew up in South London, amazing place called Slough. It's not amazing really.
I'm not here for bragging, boasting. Ain't lying, I've been chosen.
And I pretty much didn't really finish my education. I dropped out and then got into like door-to-door sales, which was like the most horrendous job at the time. But you know, in hindsight, I think pretty much built up my character, gave me some thick skin.
Just look around to see if you're with me now.
Funny story though is that when I actually started that job, I didn't realize I was being paid commission only. So I went in to get my payment one day and they were just like, yeah, you haven't earned any money this week. So that was when I realized I was being paid commission only. I was completely naive to the whole world of like work. Just a kid really. Eventually pretty much climbed the corporate ladder. Ended up managing a team of around 18 to 20 people roughly. But then there was like a market crash. The construction market pretty much dove and then I got made redundant from that job. And then the problem that I had was that I didn't want to take a step back into just being like a normal sales guy. I wanted to stay in management because that's what I was doing. So I just felt like I was having to take a step back. And then because of that, I just thought, you know what? Fuck it, I'm just going to do something completely different and I'm going to go and work in finance, which is like the worst idea ever. And in that time, I basically actually got engaged. So I was planning to get married in, it would have been May, about April, May time, 2013. So, but then I lost my job around like December time. You know, my culture, where I'm from, our weddings are like really expensive, like complicated affairs. You know, like I had a lot of money to save up. On top of that, I already had debts anyway. So the situation I was in was pretty much like, right, I've got absolutely no money, probably like 20 quid in my account. And I need to save like 30 to 40,000 pounds. So, and pay my debts off at the same time. And I've only got about 5 or 6 months to do it. So that's pretty much where I was at that point. I've always wanted to work for myself. Like my dad is a self-employed business owner. He moved to the country pretty much in his late 20s or something like that. He couldn't speak a word of English. He had literally no money and then pretty much learned to speak English and built up a business. And the day I was born, my dad was already like flying. So I was like, that's what I want to do. So in my kind of like new excitement slash intense anxiety to want to try and work for myself, I basically done what everybody does. I went on my laptop, typed in how to make money online, hit enter, and it's like millions and millions of results of different types of things you can do. You know, affiliate marketing, SEO, pretty much just kind of flew right over my head. One day I kind of stumbled across this internet forum known as the Warrior Forum. And the Warrior Forum was basically like entrepreneurs who were basically making money online using like online digital marketing methods. Essentially all the shit that I'd already seen on Google, this was the place where they would all collate themselves and talk about what was working and what wasn't working. There was one guy in particular who stuck out to me on the forum, and his name was Alex Jeffries.
I'm ready.
Alex was an entrepreneur from Cardiff in the UK. The reason you kind of like that I paid attention to him was because he wasn't like your typical entrepreneur. He looked a little bit edgy, you know, a lot like your normal kind of corporate type CEO type guy. He was a little bit different. And I think that kind of caught my attention. And, you know, he just had this really interesting way of putting his message across, and that really resonated with me. I was just a kid who wanted to make money, basically. And I felt like Alex had that in him as well. And I always knew like having a mentor was an important part of kind of the process of becoming successful. And that's pretty much the way I looked at it. I didn't want to just buy a course. I wanted to get the guy to take me under his wing kind of thing. Like just be coached by him one-on-one. So when I tried to kind of figure out, well, how much does that cost? It basically occurred that it's going to cost me $20,000 to get Alex to coach me. So I didn't have $20,000. I didn't have $20 really. Like I didn't actually have anything. I was still living at my parents' house at the time, so I didn't really know exactly how I was going to kind of get the guy's attention. I had to figure out a way to kind of make that happen. Ever since I was a kid, I've always been into like creating stories. So I used to take pictures all the time and play around with video cameras and that kind of thing. And I remember I used to walk around like weddings and birthday parties of family and just like voluntarily film these events. And I started getting into making like these little short movies. I had a very cheap DSLR camera, and I started creating these movies with my best friend, Jay.
Can you give me a visual clap, nice and loud?
Bam!
Perfect.
I've known Jay since I was about 5 or 6 years old or something, and we've pretty much grown up together.
So first time I met Joey was actually in nursery. So you call it kindergarten in America. And we were inseparable. I mean, the first time we met each other, Joey even now, he's introspective, he's really thoughtful and analytical. And I was this crazy one who just ran around. And
I remember when I got this camera and I was like, yeah, let's just go make these movies. Like, I don't know what they're gonna be about. I don't know what we're gonna do with them, but let's just film.
But I remember one video in particular, it was like 4 a.m. and he was pouring water over my head. And we were trying to capture slow motion. You know, really, really good content. But what ended up happening is him pouring water over my head for an hour and not getting the right shot. So it'd be like, nope, I didn't get the shot. We need to do it again. So if you imagine me drenched, you know, 4 a.m. in his garage, and his dad knocking on the door saying, literally, what the fuck are you guys doing? You know, you haven't got a job and you're pouring water over each other's heads.
And it's funny because like at the time, we didn't have any idea of why we were doing it or whatever else. But like when I look at it now, it's like what I was actually doing was just kind of practicing and crafting a skill. But we made these movies, and you could probably still find them on YouTube, and like these silly little things where Jay's like lying in the middle of a field. It's like absolutely ridiculous. And there's like this one where we made it in my mum and dad's house where there's like a ghost in the window. Like Jay's in the movie, like standing in the conservatory, like overacting, like just acting like terribly.
You know, because I wanted to be on camera. I was dying for it, you know. I mean, I considered a career in acting because I'm pretty good at stuff like that.
The crazy thing with Jay, right, is like we've always been on and off.
What happened was we went our separate ways. You know, I'd got a job for a while. I think he did as well. On our own journeys. I didn't see the guy, I think, for a few years. We were messaging and stuff in between.
And like when I first got into the make money online thing and I discovered it, it was really weird actually because I went to like this mastermind, like this meetup group in our local town. In
Slough, which is where we grew up, there was a guy who ran, you know, he called it a mastermind, but back then it was a group of like 4 or 5 people who he said were in the internet or digital marketing space. So I was like, yeah, sounds great, let's do it. I walked in, I remember parking the car, walked into Starbucks. I was a bit apprehensive because I didn't know, you know, what stage these guys were at. And as I walk over, I glanced to my right, and guess who's sitting on the other side?
Jay was basically at this event.
Hey, how's it going? But the crazy thing is, I'll never ever forget this. I don't know if he recalls, but when he looked over at me, both our eyes just lit up. And he literally ignored everybody there. I don't know if you remember this, but he came straight up to me. He put his arm around me. He took me to the side. He goes, what the fuck are you doing here?
And it's kind of just weird how we fell out of touch, and then all of a sudden when this really important moment was about to take place, he just kind of like appeared and he was just there, which kind of lined up really well for what was going to happen next, basically. So given the fact that I had this kind of like skill in video, I thought what I could do was kind of reach out to Alex and explain to him what skill set I had and see if he might be interested in, you know, kind of allowing me to work with him in some way. So I basically just sent him a message on Facebook, just said, hey, you know, kind of like introduce myself and whatever. And he basically just ignored me.
Just you record, don't worry. I'll just shoot as many times as you need, but like, just tell me. Yeah, press the button. What's up, dude?
Not much right now.
How you?
I'm take number 4, I think.
Take number 4, doesn't matter, bro.
Get this one done.
Doesn't matter. So Joey reached out to me about 8 years ago. From my memory, I think I may have ignored his first message because there was a lot of people reaching out to me at the time to support me. I was building a coaching business. There was a lot of buzz around me. A lot of people wanted to be a part of what I was doing, support me. He was persistent. He kept messaging me.
What I did in the last message was just kind of just say, look, like, you know, I'm a videographer. I've got a cool skill set. Maybe I can kind of do some stuff for you. And maybe there might be some kind of two-way thing where you might be able to help me out with some stuff that I need help with. And that's when Alex finally kind of bit and responded.
So I may have asked him like, hey, what kind of equipment do you use? I wasn't in the UK at the time. I was actually traveling. So when I got back to the UK, I kind of threw him a bone. I said, okay, if you want to like shoot some video for me, showcase your work. Show me what you can do.
But the whole messed up thing was I didn't really have a website. I didn't have a portfolio. I didn't have anything because like I didn't even own a camera.
So he said, fine. And he got to work.
Like all the videos that I'd shot before, I used other people's stuff. So I didn't want to say that to Alex. Like Alex never knew I didn't have anything. I was trying to kind of come across like, yeah, I'm this professional kind of guy.
And I give him a deadline as well. I said, okay, here's a deadline. And we actually, I believe if I'm correct, we made it social. So I put, not just give him the bone, but put it social pressure. Hey, here's a guy who's saying he's good at video work and he's actually going to prepare and present a video for me. Let's see what he comes up with.
I'm thinking, right, I can do that. I can shoot a video about why I want to work with you, but how am I supposed to shoot the video and be in the video and make it look good? Because I don't want to just sit there talking to the camera. I want to kind of make a cool video. So I basically reached out to Jay, thankfully, who we had just reconnected because we just met back at this mastermind thing, luckily. And I just said to him, listen, like, I need a favor.
And he's like, trust me, this is the guy. Alex Jeffries teaching people how to make a lot of money online. This is the guy we've been waiting for. All he's asking us to do, or he asked Joey, right? But the way I saw it is, like I said, whatever you need, because if the guy teaches Joey how to do something, I'm right behind him. Make a video as to why I should work with you. The night before, when we spoke, we didn't even have a camera. So he had to somehow procure a camera for free because we had no money. Even today, I don't know how the hell he did it. I can't even remember.
All I had was a guy that I went to school with. His name was Monty. So like I said to him, listen, man, like I need a camera. Like I need a 5D, Canon 5D, because at the time, those were the cameras that could shoot like good quality. Oh, also, I need some memory cards because I don't have any of those. A tripod because I don't have one of those. An extra battery if you do because I don't have any of those either. So literally had to get this entire rig off him. Had it for a day, literally a day. That's all he gave me. Called Jay up in the evening and said, listen, tomorrow morning I'm going to come to your house. We're going to shoot a quick video. And like, I don't know what it's going to be yet, but we just got to shoot a video tomorrow. And Jay's always just kind of like, you know, yeah, okay. He's up for anything, anytime, pretty much. So that was good.
We sit down and like, look at each other. We're like, well, now what? Like, no plan. And then suddenly we get up, we're like, you know, Joey's like, let's just shoot some B-roll. So I'm like, okay. But, you know, I was hungry, so I was going to make, literally, I remember, it was green peppers. I started frying in a pan. You know, aeroplanes we spotted and we had a shot of that that looked really cool at that exact moment, through to just finding things. You know, we drove around, we just found locations and spots to shoot. But it was just because we were hustling, right? And Joey was like, we just got to make this happen because this is the guy. And I'm like, well, fuck it, let's do it, you know? Whatever we need to do.
I chopped it up, got it edited, all within a pretty quick period because I was desperate to just like show Alex what I can do.
And then he launched a video.
I dropped out of school at 18. I did it because the family was really struggling for cash. They were struggling to make ends meet. And I felt I needed to take it upon myself to go out and make that extra cash that we needed in order to be happy, stable, whatever. At that age, you really don't know. All you know is that your family needs you and you need to step up.
And I woke up that morning and the thread was just, I don't know, dozens, hundreds of people commenting on it. Alex, you have to have this guy come down to do some work with you.
From what I recall, the video, Alex actually pinned it to the top of his own Facebook group, and there's a lot of big marketers in that group. He was like, this guy saw it, and this guy saw it, and it's been pinned here, and people are going crazy, and the community is, you know. And I was like, really? And then he's like, it worked.
So when I watched the video, that's when I saw the kid didn't have talent, he had exceptional talent. That was the first time that I saw his work, and it was definitely, you know, leagues and bounds above anything I'd seen up until that point. It was fascinating, you know, and it ended in this video of going to a train station to go to Cardiff and meet me. So when I saw the video, when I saw the comments, everybody was rooting for Joey, I invited him down.
And I was like, that's it. I'm in. Like, I've got my foot in now, and I can prove myself. Problem is, I still don't have any equipment, so I'll figure that out in a minute. But I was just excited about the fact that I've actually got this opportunity to go.
I told Joey, okay, come down to Cardiff, like, let's shoot some video. And then he's like, well, I have to be honest with you, I don't have any video equipment. I had to borrow this, and I don't have a car to get down to Cardiff, and I'm gonna need like somebody to help me lug my my PC.
My fiance at the time, her brother had some equipment because he used to do videography. And he actually had some new equipment that he had literally just kind of picked up. And I pretty much just had to say, look, like, I know it's like brand new and you probably like cherish it right now and whatever, but I need that shit, basically. You know, he basically let me take his gear, and so that was that. You know, I had a camera, I had all my stuff. I just now need to lug the PC in Alex's car and then go and start working in Cardiff, basically.
I said, okay, cool. You know, the video was good. I said, we're going to do some work together. I drove to London. I drove to Joey's parents' house, picked him up. We threw the computer, the screens in the car. You know, first time I met Joey, I think we had to go and get the camera equipment. You know, threw that in the car, come down to Cardiff, lugged everything up into the office. And
that was it. We pretty much went to Cardiff to start working on Alex's video.
And what was interesting is when he came down to Cardiff, he actually came down in a really interesting time in my business because we were trying to launch some videos that weren't working. The campaigns were flopping. He kind of walked into a mess, kind of walked into a situation where we were losing.
So I sat with Alex and said, right, what is it you want to kind of do? You know, what you're trying to accomplish and whatever else. You know, basically just took it as an opportunity to show him that I know what I'm doing. To be honest, I completely like winged the whole thing.
So he was intrigued by my story. And by the time we left London and got to Cardiff, which must have been about a 3-hour drive, he'd asked me such a series of questions that he wanted to do a documentary about my life. That he was like, we need to do a documentary about you.
Like, I hadn't done a shoot like that before. I told him that I had, but I hadn't. But, you know, I had seen content online that I really liked, and I was like, I'm just gonna make a video like this because I would enjoy making this kind of video. And I think it would look cool because Alex has got quite an interesting story, so I thought, let me make this video, let's see what happens, and you know, I'm giving it a shot.
So I think it took us about a day, 2 days of shooting, maybe a day of editing. I remember Joey just sitting like in our office with us editing this video out.
I had my PC with me, so every night after shooting, it was like 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, I'd go back to Alex's office and just edit. The one morning they came in and I had an edit together, I remember I played it and they were just like, that's good. Like, I remember Alex's reaction, he was just like, never seen anything like it before.
2006 was the worst year of my life. I had a job that I hated. Had no money, was in obscene amounts of debt, like $60,000 of debt. And we just had our first baby. And I had to provide for Katie and the baby. And it was my duty to provide for my family.
The worst time for me personally was when I had Cameron, and he was premature, so we didn't expect to have him. And
I remember my personal assistant watching it, and she started crying. I remember we put it out to a few people, and they were crying watching it. Now, this is a marketing video.
Alex was like kind of thrown back because he was like, oh shit, like, you know, we're getting some emotions from this video. And typically when you have a sales video in a marketing world, you don't really have those kinds of reactions.
But what was fascinating to me, and I'd never seen anything like this before, people were asking their spouses to come and watch it with them and then crying with their spouse watching the video. It had such an impact. And I mean, when that video went live, it really put my name on the map. It was a video that set the bar for the internet marketing industry. So like that video, even though I'd had tremendous success before it, that video was a positioning piece that set me above the competition, it literally put me as a guru. And at that point, I couldn't, I'm what I would call a reluctant guru. They were calling me a guru. That video set the bar. Every guru in the industry, people above me, not my peers, the people above me were watching that video, sharing that video, and then trying to create it. Now, in this day and age, you see all of these great cinematic videos. There was nothing like it at the time. And it was fascinating, you know, it literally just business. We used that video as a front end of the business. We sold thousands of copies of the program based on that video. Thousands of copies.
For me, that was just like validation, I think, because it was like, right, I've got something here. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do with it, but I know I've got something that people want, and they want to know how it's done, or there's something there.
Bigger, stronger than ever before.
The first day that I got there, Alex took me to a bar, and we sat down at that bar, and he was like, right, Joey, like, what is it you want to accomplish?
Okay, this was it. I think Joey wanted to create videos. I think Joey wanted to be a videographer, and they call me Alex Leverage Jeffries. And I'm like, you don't want to be a videographer, you want to like teach people how to do video work. You want to create a product out of this.
And Alex was just like, look, like, I'll put you into my coaching program. And that involved a lot of one-to-one time with Alex, a lot of coaching, a lot of week-to-week calls and that kind of thing, where Alex basically kind of like gave me my first footing into the digital marketing world. He pretty much showed me how to do my first ever digital product release.
Like there was at least 1,000 people in my coaching program. Then that has a circle of influence around that. So then when I drop a video online about me, people love the video, but then they're like, who made the video?
Instead of making videos for people, why don't you just go and teach people how to do it? Like, just show people how it is that they can create these same kind of stories as you're creating here. And that's pretty much what led me onto the path of starting to get my business idea and the concept together.
Allow me to show you the future. First time in the studio session.
It was like, I need to get this course together. Like, I wanted to basically teach people how to make videos online. I had to film everything in my parents' house. And essentially because it was in my parents' house, I wasn't really able to film any of the tutorials or the content until like midnight.
Hi there guys, my name's Joey Xoto from Xoto Academy, and I'd like to welcome you to this video creation course.
I was working literally till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning sometimes, doing an insane amount of hours trying to basically just get this content done, getting the course done. And in the process, I'm not just recording content, I'm trying to actually understand how to market. Like, how do I sell this thing? Like, what is the strategy? And that's where Alex came in and, he kind of led me along the path.
All Joey needed to do is follow the instructions of like launching a product correctly into a marketplace, which he did. Did very well for himself.
March the 12th, 2013, 11 o'clock a.m., I released my first course. And over the 7-day period in which I was selling it, I've done about $57,000 in sales. Still remember the first couple of sales that I made, like on PayPal. I was like refreshing it every couple of seconds because I was just like, shit, it just keeps going up and up and up. Like every couple of minutes, like a couple of $1,000s are just coming in. Like I felt relieved, like all my stress was being alleviated literally as time was going. So that was good. It was a good moment. So everything was going pretty good. You know, like I'd done that first course, I made a good amount of cash, and now it was like, well, now what, basically? Like, what do I do next? Alex showed me the way. You know, he showed me how to do it once, but now I've got to figure out how to, like, you know, grow. How do I go from here? And that's one of my things, is like I don't stand still. Like, I like to keep progressing in some way or another. As I was kind of getting towards like the end of my pot of cash, I was like, well, I may as well just do another course. I had a little bit more resource in terms of cash to actually make something a little bit more interesting. Had my own camera now, so I could actually, you know, like take my time and plan things out a little bit. So when I done my second course, I ended up doing like $150,000 over a week. And I was like, oh shit, like this is good. And then I'm just gonna do it again. And I done it within a couple of months. I did it again and did another $150,000. So now I'm like in a position where it's like I'm pretty well, like in a really comfortable position now. Like, but I don't want to keep doing this. Like, I don't want to keep doing courses just because I don't know what else to do. So that's when I thought, well, what about software, kind of thing? Like, how do I sell software? So I started getting into the software game a little bit. Started dabbling. I created my first software product, which is called Insta Thumbnail. It like basically made thumbnails for videos on YouTube. The first attempt, and you know, when we went to release the product, it basically crashed and burned. Like it didn't really sell anything, which was new for me because every time I've done this, it worked, but this time it didn't. Then I done my second software product, which was called Viddyoze, which was, I thought it was quite a cool product, but the marketing was completely off. Like I kind of misfired on the marketing. And again, crashed and burned another one. So now I'm starting to get nervous and I'm like this doesn't really look like it's gonna work. Like I'm gonna have to make another fucking course again, basically, just to like keep myself going. And then, you know, I had like this situation where it was like, right, well, the software thing's not working. I need to do another course. What do I do the course on? All right, well, what if I start teaching people about animation? That's what I'll do. Like I'll go and learn it, and then I'll reteach it, basically, which is completely fine. Like that's what people do with digital products. They learn stuff and then they reteach it, completely fine. As I was learning it, I was like, this is hard, man. Like I cannot do this. Like I don't understand the animation thing. Like I'm good at the other stuff. I'm good at putting a video together on a video editor, but the animation side, it's like squat. Like I can't do it. So I thought, well, what if there was a way, like there was some kind of application where it was all like basically pre-made animations, and all I've got to do is like upload my logo, choose an animation that I like, and then the application will basically spit out the animation in the end with my logo in it. And that's pretty much like, kind of like how this idea was formed of like a template-based animation software. And I started looking around for kind of like software guys in the UK, because the problem that I had before was that I was working with guys that were outside of the UK. And that's when I found out about these two guys who already had a successful software company called Nobelio.
Joey had actually reached out to both of us via Facebook, I believe, at the time. I'd actually ignored the first couple of messages, I think it was, and it took David in the office to basically say, oh, look, we've had a message from Joey. He's got an idea, wants to talk it through as far as building a piece of video software. And because we knew Joey from the space already, he was releasing really cool training products. We thought, you know, we better check it out. And I went and checked through my messages, and sure enough, I found a few messages from him and basically responded to say, yeah, let's see what we can do.
What kind of made sense to me is where we struggled in our business was in the visual and the kind of storytelling side of it. So we had a great product, but we didn't tell the story that well, and we didn't use video that well. But Joey, his skills were there.
These guys knew how to build software. I didn't. But I was good at the visuals and the branding and making things look pretty.
It kind of made sense to team up and partner up, because it was kind of like we had all the skills we needed between us to take a business to kind of well, not to exit, but to take it to the market and actually do some serious damage.
Hey guys, it's Joey Xoto here. Over the past year, Jamie Garside, David Chamberlain, and myself have been working on what I believe is the most challenging and largest project we've collectively worked on to date. And today, we all want to share it with you and the rest of the world. Look, this is like nothing you've seen before. We're going to take you on a journey and show you what we believe is going to be the most exciting product of the year. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the journey. Let's go. So when we went and announced it, I remember we made this really cool video in London, around here actually, and put like this teaser video out, and the market was just like, whoa, what the fuck is this? Like, this is different. Like, we've not seen this before. And it was like a, you know, just interesting, man, exciting, like, because our market was so saturated with the same stuff, same kind of software, same boring stuff that we kept seeing again and again, and this was just like completely fresh, and I knew like this would be a big thing.
What we had as a product was great, but how we were telling the story and how we were selling this to our affiliates, how we sold it to the customers, it was just going to work. We just knew it.
So we got these pre-launch videos together, we shot all of our sales videos the same, and everything just looked on point. And then we basically just went on a contact spree, if you will, contacting all of our affiliates, all of our partners we've worked with. And again, a lot of what we were going to them with, we had a great product in Viddyoze, we had something nobody had seen before, so everybody was excited. The videos were hyping everyone up as well, because no one had seen production on that level within our space at the time.
We got to launch September 29th, 2015. We were going to release the product, and literally just went off. We only sold it for 4 days, and over the 4-day window, we'd done $450,000 in sales. And then we followed it up with more promotional stuff, done like an extra couple of $100,000 in the next couple of weeks. And I was just like, this is it, man. Like, this is what I want to do. I can see that this is gonna pop. You know, I went from, it's just been an amazing ride, really. Like, I went from pretty much like trying to figure out how to make $1,000 a month to now running a software company today, like close to 30, at the time of saying this, close to $30 million in sales online.
This isn't just a product, this is a business, this is something we're going to do for years to come, and you know, I think that's kind of what's happened.
Last time I saw Joey, which may have been, actually maybe in 2013. Since then, well, let's just say when we met in 2012, and I watched him the first year become, you know, successful. You know, he was able to, you know, pay for his wife to have an engagement ring. I remember that. Take his wife on a honeymoon, pay for the wedding. These were big things. You know, like he couldn't even afford to buy his wife an engagement ring to start. So when he launched his own business and he got the things going, these were big things. So to go from there, from where he was to there, is successful in my eyes. He's taken ownership of his life. But to go from there to where he is now, which I hear you boys have a company that makes tens of millions of dollars, it's pretty successful, right?
The thing with Joey is that everything he does with video is just kind of, I think you underestimate the experience he has because he makes it look so easy. So when he's setting up a shot, when he's just holding the camera, when he's editing, you know, we've shot video like in the morning and he's edited that within minutes and it's out on the internet. Like, and it's only when you hire someone in or you bring a crew in and it takes them like 8 weeks to edit, you realize that this guy like is just a machine when it comes to video. He's not, you know, he sets shots up, he's creative, but the editing process, like I've never seen someone edit so quick. And I think when it comes to learning from him, you know, he's going to basically show you everything he knows, which isn't what he learned from, you know, a teacher or from a textbook. It's everything he's taught himself, and I think they're the best people to learn from.
Like, I've met very few people who have got the creative genius that Joey has. He's one of my best friends, and that's why I'm here. That's why I wanted to be a part of this. But let me listen, the guy is an absolute genius with the camera. He's got an eye for it, and if he's offering you an insight into how to do that, then, you know, you're in the right place and you should not pass up on that opportunity.
Has this inspired you? Has this touched you? Has this had some sort of impact, feeling? Has it evoked a feeling, an emotion? If it hasn't, then maybe, you know, you don't want to move forward and learn from Joey. But like, if it has, which you did for me, which you did for, you know, thousands of people, you know, I've played my video in front of audiences and the audiences have cried. If you want impactful videos that can actually take your business to the next level, then I think the only logical thing is to do what's next after this. So I don't know what's after this. I'm excited to find out, you know. I've landed in London right now, darling. I've got to London, you know, I'm excited to see what you boys are up to. But, you know, if it's anything from what I've been witnessing online for the past few years, what's next, if that's just the stage for what's next, big things to come, not just for you boys, but for anybody who actually is involved with you.
And now this is basically the conclusion. Is this all right? Am I missing anything?
No, I think it's all right. It would turn into videos.
Yeah, but I'm going to pull it back now.
Right.
So what I'm going to say is like, so obviously like my involvement with videos has been obviously focused on the software thing and that, but one thing that I really want to kind of go back to is I do actually want to make a course now. Because before I was making courses because I had to. It was like, you know, like I'm having to make money, I'm having to do this thing. But now I want to basically encapsulate all the experience that I've had making content for videos and all of that and put it into like a new thing basically. Does that work?